5.5 is all about completing the square. Now, if you were in honors geometry last year, this is probably going to be a review. If you're in regular geometry, this is new. Quick warm-up, I want you to multiply this out. I want you to multiply x plus 5, quantity squared, and x minus 4, quantity squared. Go ahead and take a moment, FOIL that stuff out, or multiply it out. All right, if I swear to gorge, if I see this, I'm going to lose my mind. Don't you ever, never, ever just distribute the squared thing to each one. This, of course, means x plus 5 times x plus 5. So your final answer should be x squared plus 5x plus 25, which is x squared plus 10x plus 25. That's what you should have got for the first one. And the second one, long story short, you should have got x squared minus 8x plus 16 is your final answer here. Now, both of these answers here, both of these things are called perfect square trinomials. Trinomials because there's 3 terms to each one of these. 3 terms, and they're perfect squares because they are a product of, in this case, x minus 4 quantity squared. Here it was x plus 5 quantity squared. So perfect square trinomials. Now, anything can become a perfect square if you only have a and b. For example, this is today's lesson, complete the square. Is this. If I gave you x squared plus 14x, what would you have to add in order to make this a perfect square trinomial? Well, look up here. When we had x squared plus 10x plus 25, 10 and 25. Well, half of 10 is 5, and 5 squared is 25. Same thing here. Half of b is negative 4. Negative 4 squared is 16. So what you're going to do here is you're going to find half of b, and then you're going to square it. And then you're going to square it. So, in this case, half of b would be 7. 7 squared would be 49. That would be completing the square to make this a perfect square trinomial. Try this one yourselves. Try x squared minus 22x plus, what would you have to add to complete the square? Well, half of b would be negative 11. Squared would be plus 121. That's completing the square. All right, from here on out, we're going to do 3 examples, but 2 different headings. The first thing we're going to do is called use complete the square to put into. We'll come back to that in just a minute, but this is the next thing that we're doing. Use completing the square to put into, and we'll come back to that. Number 1, y equals x squared plus 6x plus 10. As we're doing this, I'm going to give you a couple of steps. Step 1 is get rid of the constant. What is the constant? Well, y is a variable. It's able to vary, thus it's not constant. X squared is a variable, 6x is a variable, but 10 has no variable. 10 is 10. 10 is constant. So get rid of the constant. We're going to put it on the y side. So this is going to be y minus 10 equals x squared plus 6x. All right, that brings us to step 2. Step 2 is like the club, and you are Florida. All right, I got that backwards. You ain't ready for it is all I'm trying to say. Number 3. 3 is complete the square. Complete the square. So in this case, take half of b, in this case 6, so half of 6 is 3. I always like to put half of b to the side. And we're going to square that. Add 9. But remember, this is an equation. So whatever you do on one side, adding 9, we have to add to the other side as well. All right, so now we're at y minus 1 equals, that brings us to step 4. Step 4 is factor. So we simplified here. We're going to factor this. What multiplies to 9 but adds up to 6? X plus 3 and x plus 3. But rather than writing x plus 3 and x plus 3, we're going to write this as x plus 3 quantity squared. All right, let's go back to the beginning here. If we factored this, x plus 5 and x plus 5, that came from x plus 5 quantity squared. All right, so step 3, we completed the square. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. Step 3, we completed the square. We just got done factoring. The last step is, step 5 is get y by itself. Get y by itself. So, in this case, we add 1, so you get y equals x plus 3 quantity squared plus 1. That's our final answer here. Now, if you pay attention to what we did here, this was standard form. And our final answer is in, you guessed it. We're going to use completing the square to put it in vertex form. Vertex / graphing form. All right, let's do another one. Except this time, I'm going to put a little bit of stank on it. I'm going to go to number 2. Y equals x squared minus 9x plus 3. Y equals x squared minus 9x plus 3. All right, step 1, get rid of the constant. So we got y minus 3 equals x squared minus 9x. Step 2, we ain't ready for it, but step 3, find half of b and square it. Now, complete the square. Half of b here is negative 9 halves. And we have to square that. All right, so when I square that, I get plus 81 fourths. Wow, Smith, that's a bummer. I don't like fractions. I know. I told you I was going to put some stank on it. Now, because it's an equation, I got to add 81 fourths to this side as well. All right, so bust out your handy-dandy calculator. 81 fourths minus 3 is y plus 69 fourths equals, now we have to factor this. Now here's the thing. What multiplies to 81 fourths but adds up to negative 9? Well, the reason why I like putting that half of b here, I don't know if you noticed this. Let's go back to the beginning. Half of 10 was 5. Look right here. Half of negative 8 was negative 4. When we factored this one, half of 6 was 3. In other words, no matter what, it's always going to factor to x minus whatever that half, or x plus whatever that half of b was squared. That's what it's always going to come out as. So, in this case, this is going to be x minus 9 halves. That's what it factors to. All right, and then get y by itself. Y equals x minus 9 halves x, or squared, minus 69 fourths. That's our final answer. All right. Guys, this looks nasty. It's always going to factor to x plus whatever half of b was. In this case, it was negative 9 halves. All right. I promised you 3 examples. Here is the last one. The last one is how to solve using complete the square. Solve using completing the square. And let's take it easy. Let's go with x squared plus 4x plus 12 equals 0. All right. It's no different. Step 1, get rid of the constant. X squared plus 4x. Leave a space, though. Equals negative 12. We're going to leave a space. Because step 2, we ain't ready for, right? But step 3 is complete the square. So half of b in this case is 2. Squared is 4. So we're going to add 4 to both sides of the equation. Next we factor. So now we're at x half of b was 2. X plus 2, quantity squared, equals -8. All right, but this time, instead of getting y by itself, we're going to solve. So, next thing we got to do is we got to get rid of squared by taking the square root of both sides. So I'm going to x plus 2 equals, I use the square root to solve, so that's going to be plus or minus the square root of -8. That breaks down to 2I root 2. All right, 8 breaks down to 2 and 4, 2 and 2. 2 comes out, 2 we got left behind, and because it's square root of negative, it's I. So our final answer, get x by itself, x equals -2 plus or minus 2I root 2. All right, so we can use completing the square to put equations in vertex form, or we can use it as a tool to help us solve quadratics. Bring your questions tomorrow. Smith out!